The top stories tonight in Y News. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. still trusts Tourism Secretary Cristina Frasco despite the controversy surrounding their new campaign video.
United States officials expressed their concern over the recent behavior of Chinese Coast Guard vessels in the West Philippine Sea.
The National Water Resources Board announces another round of water allocation reduction for Metro Manila next week.
And find out the reasons why Twitter plans to file a lawsuit against Meta over alleged deliberate, systematic, and illegal misappropriation of their trade secrets.
Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is the 7th of July, 2023. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. I am William Theo.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media channels. I am Hardin Delgado.
First in the news, House of Representatives Speaker Ferdinand Martin Romualdez has vowed to extensively deliberate on and pass the proposed 5.768 trillion pesos national expenditure program for 2024 before the year ends. In addition to expediting the passage of the national expenditure program, Romualdez stated that the House will also prioritize the approval of the 20 priority bills of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. during their second regular session, which begins on July 27. Romualdez expressed optimism that the chamber can accomplish its goals for the remainder of 2023. The House will utilize its power of the purse mandate to thoroughly scrutinize the national budget.
Department of Tourism Secretary Cristina Frasco still enjoys President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s trust and confidence despite the department's new campaign video blunder. Nelma Ribohok reports.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. expressed his confidence to Department of Tourism Secretary Cristina Frasco. This is despite the controversy on the DOT's Love the Philippines tourism campaign.
Does Secretary Tina Frasco still enjoy your trust and confidence?
Yes, absolutely. No question. I spoke to her. I have been actually in touch with her since all of this came to the fore.
According to the President, the tourism chief has it under control and already terminated the contracts that were in question.
Nakita ko naman, mabilis ang galaw niya that she terminated the contracts that were in question. She has also since then put under review all of the other contracts that were in the pipeline. Kaya sa akin palagay, she has it under control. She knows what to do, and I'm what she has done so far inspires confidence that she will fix the problem and that the campaign of Love Philippines will be as successful as we hope for it to be.
DOT already announced the termination of its contract with advertising firm DDB Philippines, which the DOT had tapped to handle the rebranding program. The said ad agency already apologized for using stock footage of international destinations in its now deleted promotional video. Nelma Ribohok, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
United States officials expressed their concern over the recent behavior of Chinese coast vessels in the West Philippine Sea. A lawmaker now urges President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. to consider holding another round of talks with Chinese President Xi Jinping in a bid to solve the issue through diplomatic means. Harleen Delgado will tell us why.
Following the latest incident near the Ayungin Shoal, the United States is concerned over the reported dangerous acts of the Chinese Coast Guard, or CCG, and the swarming of its vessels in several parts of the West Philippine Sea. In a readout published by the United States Department of Defense, it says that U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin noted with concern China's coercive and risky operational behavior against Philippine vessels. On July 6, Austin spoke with Defense Secretary Gilbert Teodoro over the phone, where they reaffirmed the decades-long alliance of the Philippines and the U.S. and reiterated the Mutual Defense Treaty.
The two leaders celebrated the remarkable progress the United States and Philippines have made over the past year to deepen defense ties, including expanding cooperation under the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, conducting joint patrols in the South China Sea, and concluding bilateral defense guidelines.
Meanwhile, in a tweet, U.S. Ambassador to the Philippines, Mary Kay Carlson, also expressed concern over what she calls unprofessional maneuvers of the CCG against the Philippine Coast Guard, or PCG, saying that China's irresponsible behavior in the South China Sea threatens the security and legal rights of the Philippines. She calls on China to comply with international law, including implementing the 2016 arbitral ruling. However, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbin, in a press conference, defended the CCG's action, claiming that the PCG intruded into their waters without Chinese permission. He added that the maneuvering of Chinese vessels were quote-unquote professional and restrained. Senate Deputy Minority Leader Risa Hontiveros slams this as she calls on the Chinese official to stop the lies, gaslighting, and propaganda. Senator J.V. Ejercito, for his part, urges President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. to step in and consider holding new round of talks with Chinese President Xi Jinping. This as the lawmaker laments China's inaction on the diplomatic protests being filed by the Philippine government.
Siguro panahon na ang presidente na mismo ang dapat kumausap because it's a very unhealthy situation already in the West Philippine Sea. Parang nakakasawa na, nakailang note verbali na ang ating DFA to China. It seems that it's falling on deaf ears, no? So parang hindi naman nila pinapansin.
The Department of Foreign Affairs said it has filed nearly 100 note verbal under the Marcos administration, protesting the illegal presence and actions of Chinese vessels in the West Philippine Sea. Harleen Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God. The increase of Chinese fishing vessels in the Iraqis Reef is alarming, according to the AFP Western Command, or WESCOM. The reef is located south of Recto Bank, an area said to be rich in oil and gas reserves in the West Philippine Sea, which is also within the Exclusive Economic Zone, or EEZ, of the Philippines. From the previous 12 Chinese fishing vessels in February, the number has now risen to 48. These vessels are merely loitering in the area, and no fishing activity is observed. China's maritime assets are also increasing in the Sabina Shoal. 3 ships of the Chinese Coast Guard and 2 ships of the People's Liberation Army Navy are patrolling the area. According to AFP Westcom, this intent and action by China in the western part of the West Philippine Sea, which is clearly within the country's EEZ, or territory, is alarming. This is also what the Philippine Coast Guard has observed.
We just noted that every time we have naval operations there, the number of China Coast Guard vessels is increasing, and the number of the Chinese maritime militia is also increasing as well, to block a particular naval operation that's going to be carried out by the Philippine government.
Meanwhile, in an interview, former Senator Laila De Lima spokesperson expressed that it is ludicrous for state prosecutors to ask the judge handling De Lima's last illegal drug case to inhibit. De Lima's camp believes that there are no grounds for the prosecutors from the Department of Justice to request the judge's inhibition. It is allegedly a dilatory tactic by the prosecution to prevent former Senator Laila De Lima from gaining freedom. Meanwhile, in a statement yesterday, Department of Justice Secretary Crispin Remulla stated that it is the prosecution's volition based on their legal knowledge.
Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, or BARM Chief Minister Ahod Balawag Ibrahim paid a visit to Philippine National Police, or PNP Chief Police General Benjamin Acorda Jr. this afternoon. The two officials tackled peace and order in Mindanao. BARM Chief Minister Ibrahim promised to help the PNP and the armed forces of the Philippines ensure a peaceful election in October. He also pledged to assist the police in apprehending lawless elements.
The real purpose for this is the de-escalation of hostilities in Mindanao, and kung pwede, if we can put up some developments there without necessarily the cost of lives and other hostilities in the area.
We will try our best to help para matulungan na ma-maintain natin ang peace and order situation sa BARM area.
Ibrahim also committed to supporting the government forces in their pursuit of Mayumbong Sulu Vice Mayor Pando Mudhasan.
The non-governmental organization Human Rights Watch urges to stop the use of cluster bombs in the Ukraine-Russia war. Jane Robles will give us the details live. Good evening, Jane.
Good evening, Kathy. Ukraine is calling on the United States Congress to approve the supplies of cluster bombs in order to help them in their fight against Russian defense. Mary Wareham, the acting Arms Division Director of Human Rights Watch, is urging Russia and Ukraine to stop using cluster bombs, as well as the United States to stop providing Ukraine with supplies. The use of cluster bombs was first introduced in World War II, and since then, over 120 countries have prohibited their use under the 2008 Convention on Cluster Munitions. These explosives work by separating in the air into smaller bombs that explode upon contact with the ground. Director Wareham emphasizes that their use poses long-term danger to civilians. Meanwhile, the cluster bombs are reportedly part of a package that U.S. President Joe Biden will send to Ukraine, but their inclusion is still under active consideration. Back to you, Kathy.
Thank you, Jane Robles, for that live report. Following the catastrophic implosion of the Titan submarine near the Titanic wreck, the United States-based company OceanGate has suspended all the exploration and commercial operations. Cherise Lombowen will give us the details live. Good evening, Cherise.
Good evening, Kathy. OceanGate, the U.S. company managing the submarine that imploded during its undersea expedition to the Titanic ruins, has suspended all of its operations. This announcement was made in the company's website, where 2 explorations to the Titanic planned for June 2024 are displayed. No further details have been shared on when these activities will resume. The suspension came following the call of scientists to shut down all explorations until the cause of the catastrophe, killing all 5 passengers on board, has been determined. The U.S. and Canadian authorities have recovered the wreckage at a depth of almost 4,000 meters. This evidence was transported to a U.S. port for the analysis of the cause of the implosion and loss of the Titan. Meanwhile, according to the U.S. Coast Guard, examinations of presumed human remains recovered are being conducted by medical professionals. Back to you, Kathy.
Thank you, Cherise Longbowen, reporting live from Japan. We'll share more global stories with you later, but for now, back to you, Harleen.
Thank you, Kathy. For those watching our live streaming on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook.
Philippine law enforcers and investigators have undergone several days of training on Minnesota Protocol on the investigation of potential unlawful deaths in participation with the United Nations. Dante Amento tells us why.
To protect the basic right to life enshrined in our Constitution, the United Nations, through Special Rapporteur and forensic pathology expert Dr. Maurice Tidbol Beans, led the 5-day training for the Philippine National Police or PNP, National Bureau of Investigation or NBI, Commission on Human Rights or CHR, and state prosecutors, among others. Philippine law enforcers and investigators acquired new skills and knowledge using Minnesota Protocol for the investigation of potential unlawful deaths or extrajudicial killings. This would help authorities to conduct probes with international standards and ultimately resolve the crime or incident.
Dissemination, promotion, training and implementation of the Minnesota Protocol are absolutely fundamental for the investigation and prevention of extrajudicial executions. And Justice Remula was very clear about this. Nunca más, we say in my country, Argentina and Chile have both nationalities. Nunca más, never again.
The issue of extrajudicial killings and disappearances had been pressed by human rights groups, especially during the tenure of former President Rodrigo Duterte amid the government's war on drugs. Based on state agents' data, 6,200 died from 2016 to 2021, but human rights groups stressed the numbers is about 12,000 to 30,000 deaths. The participants expressed gratitude for the effort of the United Nations Joint Program Team.
The discussions and activities in this training are essential in enhancing our capabilities to address human rights violations, ensure accountability, and provide justice and redress to victims.
Filipino forensic pathology expert Dr. Raquel Fortun hoped there are more training to come in the future. It is a good start to improving the Philippines' forensic capacity.
That is what I am hoping for, that we can sustain this, that this is not a one-off, that we actually generate opportunities and continuing education and so on for improving forensic science in the Philippines.
Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The National Water Resources Board approved another water allocation reduction for Metro Manila. Ray Palayo will tell us why.
Metropolitan Water Works and Sewerage System or MWSS said that an announcement would be made next week for the specific areas that will be affected. By Sunday, the water level in Angat Dam is expected to go down below the normal operating level of 180 meters. If this would happen, the National Water Resources Board said that the water allocation should automatically reduce to 48 cubic meters per second from 50 cms. This is to prevent the rapid decrease of water in the reservoir. Based on the projection of MWSS, almost 600,000 households covered by Maynilad would experience water service interruption during nighttime starting Wednesday.
We need to manage yung existing na water po natin sa Angat. So ayaw naman po natin na pagdating ng impact ng El Nino. So ayaw naman po natin na pagdating ng mga time na yun ay wala na po talagang tubig na lumalabas dito sa ating mga gripo. So we need as of this time, hanggat maaari ay tipirin yung kung ano man yung meron tayo ngayon.
Concessionaires already placed measures to have additional water source, including those facilities that are now sourcing water from Laguna Lake. They also improved the reduction of leakages in pipes in different areas. The Manila water customer will not be affected if another allocation cut will be implemented.
Dahil meron na tayo supply augmentation projects na nakakadagdag sa available supply for distribution, as much as possible, pipilitin natin na kung magkaroon man ng service interruptions, i-isolate natin siya to nighttime interruptions para manage yung inconvenience sa customers.
The Philippine Weather Bureau Pag-asa said that if there is no rainfall in the watershed of Angat Dam, the water level would possibly go as low as 165 meters. But the Weather Bureau is projecting rainfall starting the third week of the month. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Department of Energy is keeping an eye on 4 hydroelectric power plants in the country with the onset of El Nino. JP Nunez details why.
Due to the effect of El Nino, capacity of hydroelectric power plants in the country may be reduced according to the Department of Energy. In a public briefing earlier today, July 7, Energy Undersecretary Rowena Guevara of the DOE said the department is monitoring 4 hydroelectric power plants. These are Angat, which has a capacity of 218 megawatts, Calayan, which has a capacity of 720 megawatts, Magat with 355 megawatts, and San Roque with 435 megawatts.
Binabantayan natin ang mga ito dahil yung level nila ang magde-determine kung gaano yung kapasidad nila na mag-generate ng hydroelectric power.
However, Yusek Guevara said this may not be a major problem due to a low demand for hydroelectric power based on their simulation from historical and projected data.
Parang sa taong ito, hindi natin na-reach yung projected demand. Ibig sabihin, mababa yung demand natin by about 300 to 500 megawatts. So dahil doon, hindi namin nakikita na magiging major problem for this year itong ating mga hydroelectric power.
Based on their power outlook with the presence of El Nino phenomenon, a yellow alert is expected on the third week of July, while 3 more are expected on the month of August. The official added that the El Nino effect will pose a heavy effect in Luzon, while least in Visayas and Mindanao. DOE reminds consumers to continue energy-saving practices and using energy-saving equipment or appliances to help conserve power supply. JP Nunez, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Twitter may take legal action against Meta over its new app, Threads. Twitter is accusing Meta of engaging in deliberate, systematic, and illegal misappropriation of their trade secrets. Monica Canlas tells us why.
The newly launched Meta app Threads now has more than 30 million signups by taking advantage of Instagram's billions of users, simply by logging into their Instagram accounts and downloading the app. The app has been dubbed as a Twitter killer, positioning itself as another competitor to Twitter in the social media arena, alongside Mastodon and Blue Sky. Twitter's lawyer Alex Spiro has issued a letter to Meta Platform's founder, chairman, and chief executive officer Mark Zuckerberg, expressing significant concerns. Meta has been accused of poaching Twitter's former employees and engaging in unlawful misappropriation of Twitter's trade secrets and other valuable intellectual property. Twitter demands that Meta immediately cease the usage of any Twitter trade secrets or highly confidential information and take immediate action to comply with Twitter's demands. In a Threads post, Meta's communication director Andy Stone stated that the Threads engineering team does not include any former Twitter employees, refuting the claim as unfounded. According to Elon Musk, competition within the industry is acceptable, but cheating should not be tolerated. Monica Canlas, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Earth has reached an unprecedented milestone, with the average global temperature remaining at record high for 3 consecutive days. The temperature stood at 17.18 degrees Celsius on Wednesday, matching the previous day's record and surpassing Monday's record of 17.01 degrees Celsius. These alarming figures has come as no surprise to scientists who have been warning about the potential for the record-breaking heat in 2023 due to human-induced climate change, primarily caused by the burning of fossil fuels. According to Sean Burko, a climate scientist at the University of Maine and creator of the Climate Reanalyzer, these figures serve as a snapshot of our changing world. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, although not considering them official records, will take these figures into account when calculating their own official records. This week alone, high temperature records were broken in Quebec and Peru, and Beijing experienced 9-day streak with temperatures exceeding 35 degrees Celsius. Australia and New Zealand made a historic first by hosting FIFA Women's World Cup 2023. Maven Carrizo tells us why.
First Nations footballers Australia and New Zealand joined forces to host FIFA Women's World Cup 2023 to put together the very first World Indigenous Football Cup. After the two nations signed the football treaty in March, Federation International de Football Association, or FIFA, approved the request from Australian and New Zealand football organizations to raise Indigenous flags. Tournaments will be from 20th of July to 20th of August, and this decision is first time for a Football World Cup. Australia's national flag, Australian Aboriginal flag, and a Torres Strait Island flag will be displayed in 35 matches played in Australia for the Football World Cup. Maori flag, also known as Tino Rangatiranga, and the New Zealand flag will be displayed in 29 matches in New Zealand. According to Football Australia Chief Executive Officer James Johnson, it is an important moment for all Australians, particularly First Nations people. The Chief Executive Officer of New Zealand Football, Andrew Prognell, also applauded the approval from FIFA and said that hosting provides an opportunity to shape the way tournament evolves, and added this will recognize the rights of Indigenous people worldwide. Meanwhile, chairperson of Australian Indigenous Football Council, Lawrence Gilbert, believed that this alliance is just the start. He also added he will seek partnership with other Indigenous nations across the world. Maven Carrizo, UNTV News and Rescue, we serve the people, we give glory to God.
And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I am Kathy Navarro, live from Vietnam. Good evening.
The proper use of coin deposit machines, or CODMs, has been directed by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas within its branches in Metro Manila. Bernadette Tinoy will tell us why.
The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, or BSP, instructs the public as the coin deposit machines, or CODMs, has been launched in different cities in Metro Manila. According to machine teller Darren Kalupit, clients will only put the coins into the machine and it will automatically count. Clients also have the option to choose whether to put the money to GCash accounts, e-wallet, or as shopping voucher.
Yung mga cents ng mga tinatago nyo sa bahay, pwede nyo na rin po siyang ilagay na lang natin sa GCash, mas mabuti. Kokolektahin nyo lang po yung mga coins yung mga na hindi nyo na kailangan i-segregate pa, kahit ipon-ipunin nyo lang, sabay-sabay nyong ihulog dito sa machine. Bahala na po si machine yung maglalagay nun, tapos makakompute na po yun yung pinaka overall total niya, doon yun na po malalagay. Tapos lalabas na naman din po sa machine yung pinaka-breakdown niya, yung denomination po, kung ilan po yung kung magkano at ilan yung mga nahuyulog yung coins.
He added that the agency doesn't allow the use of old coins with no value.
From 1 cents to 5 cents po. Pero yung mga talagang napalitan na meron pa rin ngayon, for example, meron pa rin tayo sa mga 10 pisong bago. Yung mga dating luma na hindi na po tinatanggap talaga kasi wala na talagang amount yun.
Meanwhile, Judith Yuldes said he went from Quezon City to Manila just to experience the BSP's newest project.
Kasi dati nagpapapalit ako sa mga tindahan lang mahirap magbilang Isa-isa ganun, tagal.
He also insists the participation of machine teller to guide them as the machine error is inevitable.
Minsan, puno na yung box. Pag nagka-problema, hindi na alam ng customer. Kaya laging may tao na taga-BSP.
The public can experience the CODMs in its branches in ESO Mall of Asia, Robinson's Place in Manila, and Festival Super Mall in Muntinlupa City. Bernadette Tinoy, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
And before we close, we will leave you with a word, giving glory to God. From the book of 1 John, chapter 3, verse 17, it says, "But whoso hath this world's good, and seeth his brother have need, and shutteth up his bowels of compassion from him, how dwelleth the love of God in him?" And those are the reasons behind the news, July 7, 2023. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I am Hardin Delgado.
And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people, we give glory to God.